Welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means, the other one just doesn't like to show up ever on time, and the other one's just along for the ride. What up, Noah?
Hello. How are you doing?
Doing well. Okay, I'm going to rant a little bit about my best friend James. And Dude Man is never on time. And he never says that he's going to be late. He's the classic, I'm on my way, but what that really means is I'm going to leave in like 10, 15 minutes. And he's been doing this for the last 20 years that we've been friends, and it still annoys me to this day as a grown adult.
Hey, well, my co-host has been a little bit late sometimes, so
a little bit late. I think you've done more on-air podcasts without him than you have with him. I don't know. I need him to get his life together in some way, some fashion. But the Rockies are hot. I'm fired up. The Red Sox fans are fired up. There's a bunch of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff has been fired up, but nothing more fired up than your Trevor Story clip that you released today. That was fun.
That was crazy. It's one of those Rockies legends that all the fans still respect, and shoot, he's one of the top, probably in the top 5 most popular jerseys at Coors Field every night. There's still so much Arenado and so much Story, and of course Blackmon probably leads the way, but that was really fun to do, and he did pretty well. I think he went 8 for 9 on naming the starting lineup, so credit to him.
I was thinking about the catcher the entire time. It's like I don't think it was Iannetta. I went through the same thing he did. I don't think I would have got Hundley correct.
I'm shocked. I knew Nick Hundley was on the team. I did not know that he was our opening day catcher in 2016, which is wild.
I can't say I would remember that either. Can you name how many teams Nick Hundley played for?
Shoot. I mean, he played for multiple within the National League West alone, right?
Yeah.
I'll just go out and say 6 teams because that seems like a high number, but
4, 5. Yep, 5. 3 of them in the NL West: Colorado, San Diego, and San Francisco. Then he had a stint with Oakland and Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, Dude Man was everywhere.
I had no idea. He had a nice little season in 2015, an OPS plus of 104.
There we go. Above average.
Yeah, not terrible. And yeah, all right. Nick Hundley was the catcher that Trevor Story forgot about. But I mean, it's been so long, so I don't blame him one bit. But that was a cool video. So go check it out on our Instagram. It's probably the easiest place to find it right now, but you can also find it on the Twitter. Just Blake's Your Banter Story. Can you name it all? That was fun. Like we were kind of talking about it off air, but like you've had some of these moments where your fandom is turning into this internship. I use that loosely because you're working, but we all know what it is. But like kind of that full circle stuff. Like how are you kind of handling that? Like, yo, I watched you and I loved you and you're the reason I'm a baseball fan and here I am talking to you.
Yeah, some of it has been really mind-blowing, especially that sit down with Charlie that I think the people loved, just talking about the draft process. A lot of that stuff hadn't been covered and people didn't know Charlie's story. So that was special. And going into that, I'm like, holy cow. Like, it's Charlie Blackmon. When you think of the Rockies, he's probably the number 1 guy you think of. And then with Trevor's story, it was just wild seeing all the Colorado media members introducing themselves and saying like, hey, it's been a while. But for me, I was like, holy crap. Like, all I know this guy is from TV, and now here he is. But we got it done. And shout out Brian, love the head. I appreciate it.
Yeah. That's a nice little old school there. I like it. New school, old school there. Yeah, Dylan, appreciate that. As always, killing with the content. Noah's doing fantastic work, and the great thing about this is like you're kind of figuring out what works and what doesn't for you, and like what you're gonna do, and take that with you with whatever. Like.
Yeah,
all the kids at school are gonna be so excited coming August. Like, yo, what'd you do? Like, it's just cool. It's cool that it's all coming together for you, and you're kind of leaning into it and just getting the most of it.
And I mean, during the All-Star break, I kind of had a moment where like, crap, I had 3 months at the start of this. Now I have 1 month left.
Yeah.
So, that's just a little extra motivation to, I think I have 10 home games left now. And
10?
Yeah.
3 series.
Yeah, crazy. But just going to continue to try to get stuff out for the people. And I love entertaining everyone. And Jake Gates a big part of that.
Yeah, Jake Cave. I don't know. I don't want to give too much, but we were supposed to make an appearance. BSB was supposed to make an appearance on one of the games, the last 2 or 3 games against the Red Sox, and it just didn't come to fruition. It should have been there. It's still there. It's still a possibility. Hopefully next homestand or something, or maybe it's on the road right now. But keep an eye out for street banter stuff. I don't know. If it doesn't show up, I'm gonna be a little mad at a few people, but we'll just we'll keep that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But Jake,
Lewis, imagine if it is on the road though. I didn't even think about that.
like, could it just be making its rounds? I don't know. It could be fun. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, Aaron Shunk told me, he's like, dude, that thing's made its way around the clubhouse quick, man, and now it's out in the broadcast team's hands. So maybe just keep your eye out. Everyone tag us if you see it.
It was right there on Tuesday night, man. Like 7th inning, we all saw it. We were all peeping. The group chat went off.
Yeah.
Nothing. So hopefully that comes into fruition, just because that would just be a really cool moment. Like, the whole thing with this minor league stuff that we love to do. I know we're kind of going past our stuff, but like, this is fun. It's just like getting seen and like letting these guys be seen, and then it's like all coming to fruition. Like, we're with the BSBs with the Major League Club, and it's there, and we're still having fun the way that we've always had fun with doing this. And yet it's making its way to the Major League Clubhouse, which, again, we like to do things a little bit different. And the fact that it's being accepted into the Major League Clubhouse makes it even more fun. So huge shout out to JK for just being a dog and being a dude and having fun with it with us. And just, yeah, it's just fun. It's cool stuff, man. I love it.
Yeah, and the people are loving it too. I mean, our account has gotten larger and larger. We were just celebrating 2,000 followers. Now we're, I think, 10 away from 2,300. So
We are so close.
Blake Street Banner's on the rise.
To the moon. I did have a weird thought last night or 2 nights ago. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, what are we going to do? What's BSB going to do if like Noah's not there? Like, what do we do next summer if you don't have an internship, or the summer after that? It's like, all right, how do we make this happen? So
someone will be out here. I promise that.
Yeah, I hope so. But that's a future us problem. So for now, let's chit chat. Let's talk about Rockies, since James is not showing up. Like, we're 7 minutes into it, he's still not here. So whatever, James, you suck, man. Everybody type in James, you suck in the chat. Like, tweet it real quick at Just Keating BSB. Just James, you suck, or James, why you late? Just put that out there. Put it in there. Everybody just get mad, get him fired up for just not showing up to his own gig. But I want to talk about the Rockies kerfuffle with the Red Sox. Cal Quantrill is forever in my good gracious, like, all-time chirp moments. We do like to try to keep it a family show. I don't want to say it. And if you're listening, I'm sure you already know it. If you don't, go to Google and type in Cal Quantrill, Cal versus the Sox or something. But what I'm upset about, I guess, is Red Sox fans, and this wasn't a lot of them. I think it was just mostly in our mentions, right? About just Sox fans being terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so annoying. Like, oh, the Red Sox are going to own the Rockies. Cal Quantrill is going to blow it, blah, blah, blah. And then they get blown out, and that they still chirp away, and their go-to was 2007. Like,
17 years ago.
Right? Like, I don't know. It's that kind of stuff. It's so annoying. It's the Dodger fan stuff all over again.
And it's not like the Red Sox haven't won a World Series since then. They don't have to go back to 2007 to pull that. You know what I mean? They were a little upset that the Rockies beat them by 13 runs, and the Rockies were up 20-3 at one point. It was everything.
Yeah, it's rough. And it's just, I think it's the sense of entitlement. Maybe you can shed some light into it. Like, it's just like, even when they try to talk stuff, and like, Rockies fans know who the Rockies are. Like, you can go talk to any of us. None of us are senile about where we are as a franchise. Like, we get it. We know we're a bottom feeder. We're a punching bag. And like, when you throw the punches back at us, I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. What's next? Like, but like, you can't take it and like, oh no, the Red Sox are going to win the World Series. Our bullpen's hurt, or this wouldn't have happened if we had our closer, who wouldn't have done nonsense for you in the third inning, by the way. But like, it's this entitlement. Like, we're the Boston Red Sox, so we're better than you, no matter what kind of entitlement, even though you just got your doors blown off. Like, just accepting, like, yeah, you kicked our ass today, but well, let's just move on. I don't know. maybe I'm just too sensitive about it too. It's just
So their moral pride simply gets in the way. But I have to say, Twitter was a really fun place yesterday for us. I mean, I thought the replies were hilarious because a lot of them were so mad that later in their thread of yapping, they outed themselves as like
yeah.
casual fans or something.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing to me. It was just like, all right, you're just yapping to yap, and maybe it was just the Twitter, what Twitter's for, right? And it was being used for that. But it was just so annoying. Like, yo, shut your mouth. You got your ass kicked by Cal Quantrill, which you guys obviously have a history with, and just
Mhm.
accept it. But no, it's the Rockies or bottom feeders. 2007, we beat you. So, like, yeah, we got swept. We shouldn't have been there in the first place. Yet here we are. Like, we made the
Yeah.
World Series. So,
Yeah, well, and more on Quantrill. A lot of people, if the Rockies were going to trade him, and they still can because there's a week left, Boston was a possible landing place. Boston's not a possible landing place anymore. Not after that.
dude, that'd be insane. What if they traded for him and they dropped Reese McGuire?
That would
Like,
be absolutely insane.
hey, sorry, Reese. We're gonna take Cal in, so we're gonna need you to go.
Yeah,
With this
well,
happening.
in Reese McGuire, the new DNVR person, Christian, shout out to him because he's doing great so far. But he told me a story out of the blue after I met him. He's like, "Oh, this guy at the plate, I struck him out in high school. He struck out Reese McGuire in high school." And that was in game one. And then all of a sudden, all the game three stuff happened. And Reese
All of
McGuire had a series.
it. Yeah, we all know who Reese McGuire is now.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who he was with his 486 OPS, but I had to throw that
exactly.
in there. It's just wild ride. What a chirp! Like,
Uh,
just what was the vibe? Like, were you in the locker room afterwards? What was the vibe in there? Because I saw Cal's thing with Patrick Lyons, and he said what you would expect him to say, but he still had a
mhm.
little fire to him when he was saying it, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I think by the time the post game rolled around, he like I don't want to say he was embarrassed, but he was just trying to downplay it as much as possible. He was like,
Yeah,
"Oh well, we move on. It's baseball. We get excited." Um, and but I'll tell you during the game after the benches cleared, I was like, "Okay, well now I want to see if anyone gets hit." And no one got hit until Stallings later in the game on like an 0-2 pitch, I think.
hmm
So I don't think that was on purpose. But Quantrill went 6 innings. Due up second in the seventh was Reese McGuire, and I was like, "Oh man,
do
I
it.
want to see this rematch happen." But the Rockies were up like a gazillion runs, so Buddy just pulled them. I mean, Quantrill was only at 82 pitches, I think. So if it wasn't a 10-run game, he would have gone back out there. But
Right.
not much to gain in a situation like that.
Yeah, that only hurts in the long run there, but it would have been a great story. Buddy Black took that away from us. Dang
Yeah.
it. I was in and out with watching, so I wasn't aware of that fact. But I don't know. I'm all aboard the Cal train. I like so going into that trade deadline stuff. Do we extend Cal Quantrill? Like not just because of what he did this week, but he's been solid. He's figured something out at altitude. He had a conversation with Renee Deckart, who's of Purple Row, but wrote something for Beyond Baseball. No, pitchers list. Did something with
Yes.
the pitchers list where she has conversations with pitchers and she releases it like every week or 2 weeks or something. And Cal was one of them and it happened to be released. And he was saying like how he just constantly is changing his arsenal to match whatever works. Like he's been fastball slider, he's been splitter fastball, like he's been all of these things. And I don't know if that's necessarily been a thing for Rockies pitchers. It always seems like, all right, these guys have this stuff, and that's what you're going to see every single year. But maybe Cal's doing that and bringing that in. And do you keep that in the clubhouse? And we always joke about they're going to extend these guys. But Cal's 30, 31, came in, did his thing, showing some good stuff. Do we literally buy into that, or do we? All right, we got Dollander, we got Palmquist, we got Sullivan coming up. Let's just go with it.
Yeah, I think so much of it depends on the health of Senzatella and Herman, two
Yeah.
also righties. But I, you're not going to be able to get answers quick enough because Herman just went on the 15-day IL and he's not going to come back till after the deadline. Senzatella, I mean, he's been out forever and he might be back by September.
Yeah.
That's what Bud Black has kind of been saying. But yeah, I personally think that when you have a guy like Quantrill, who a lot of people say when you pitch at Coors Field, like before you know how to throw, but then you leave knowing how to pitch.
Yeah.
Quantrill's always been, yeah, he's an engineer. He always has learned new pitches. I mean, the splitter has been a pitch that he's been actively learning. And to me, that's a guy that you do want back because if he's always willing to adjust. And he has, I think, 7 quality starts at Coors Field this year and like 11 starts there. He's been really, really good. A super clutch offseason signing. Going into next year, and this has kind of just been talked about among other Rockies media too. The Rockies are looking to, if they catch lightning in a bottle with some of the starters down in the minor league system, the plan would then be to bring in a closer because, I mean, right now,
Yeah.
all the bullpen pieces, they're pitching where they're not supposed to be. I think I read this morning that Jalen Beeks, when he's not in save situations, has like a sub 3 ERA, but in a save situation, he has a 7 ERA. You know, when people aren't meant to be closers, you can't really force them into that, and they are trying to build something with Vodnik. But if the Rockies were to catch some fire with their rotation and they want depth, they want 6-7 guys that can go out there, all of a sudden you get a closer and then all the bullpen pieces pitch in their assigned innings. And, you know, the lineup, how about the Rockies lineup recently? I mean, 50 plus homers and what feels like 25 games.
Law of averages, baby.
Yeah, it's insane. And Bud Black even said that.
Yeah.
The Blake Street Banner special. The Rockies are kind of cooking right now.
Right. There's this power surge is happening. The pitching thing is very interesting because like we heard Billy Schmidt on, what was it, Monday's game? Well, he popped on one of those Monday or Tuesday night's game. He was talking about the draft class and what to expect from Charlie Condon and like what to do. And basically he said, a lot of kids are going to get some playing time once the trade deadline's over, is what, in a roundabout way, is what he said.
And that's what Bud has directly said.
So like you see a Dollander getting called up to Hartford. You have Palmquist ready in Hartford. Sean Sullivan's obviously the third of the 3-headed monster, just by, I don't know, just the eye test right now. So like, we could see a Dollander and a Collins and Palmquist getting their feet wet in a middle relief, long relief stuff. There's talks out there that Dollander would be a fantastic closing pitcher. You got Jaden Hill, who was big at spring training, and Buddy Black loves Jaden Hill. Like his quotes in spring training were about Jaden Hill, who is a closer. Like he's built to be a closer. So maybe that's something that comes into play. Like I don't think Buddy puts Jaden Hill in the closing spot right away, but like I think you're onto something there. Like it'd be interesting to see how these kids kind of play out in that arm barn there.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think that we'll see Dollander in the bigs this year. I do think that Palmquist should see time sometime in the second half. But the bullpen, yes, I really, really want to see Jaden Hill get called up. I mean, he's 24 now. I don't know what more he has to prove down there. Maybe it's command. But
some of the secondary pitches need some work.
Yeah, the stuff is electric, and I mean the Rockies are kind of buying into that and saying, just with their draft class this year too, they kind of got away from that Rockies sinker baller mentality. Yeah. I don't know. I think we're seeing an organizational shift that began last year when Bill Schmidt traded away Crone, Grichuk, Pierce Johnson.
Yeah.
It's the record won't tell you to be excited, but fans should be excited about the direction the Rockies are headed.
It's way different. Yeah. And I think me and Mike Lewis talked about it on Monday in our Road to Blake Street pod. Things are just different. Like this isn't the team that you were watching 3-4 years ago. It's a whole different squad. It's ran differently. Like Michael Tolia wouldn't be seeing the field two years ago. Like it just wouldn't be happening. Like you're just hitting dongs and hitting for power. No, that's not going to work. So like there's definitely a switch in mentality here, which I love it. Sean, thank you for finding us and hanging out with us. Trade deadline. Yeah. Trade deadline is what, Tuesday, right? It's the 31st.
Yeah. The end of whatever the end of the month is.
Wednesday the 31st, the trade deadline. Pretty sure that hasn't changed. Maybe we get somebody to check on that, because somewhere I heard it was on Tuesday. Our trade deadline stuff, yeah. Tyler just dropped an article. Go to BlakeStreetBanter.com. You'll see it right there. It's talking about the possible trade candidates. Maybe I'll actually bring that up real quick so we can maybe talk through that. So, Sean, thank you for hanging out. Tony, love that. Love all the content you guys, the content guys. Keep everything up. We are trying our best, continue to have fun, and just glad you're along for the ride. I know you're kind of a frequent chatter in the YouTube chat with us, so thank you for hanging out with us every Thursday, Tony. Really do appreciate it. Like, I can't announce that enough. I know I got on my little soapbox last time, but it's awesome. Like, I love the Lake Street Banner community, and just everybody finding us and being all in with us is always great. So with that being said, what Tyler said in the trade deadline stuff was we saw Dakota Hudson DFA'd, right? But he is with the Albuquerque Isotopes. He's doing some relief appearances down there. Elias Diaz is hurt. He's back, but he's still kind of working through that calf injury, right? Cal Quantrill did Cal Quantrill things. And then there's Tyler Kinley and Jalen Beeks that are kind of resurging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tyler says these three more likely than not to get moved. And these three is like 3.5, right? So I guess, we kind of talked about the Cal thing. We talked about it. So what would you put? Do we see a Cal trade in the next 5 days? Yes, no. Yeah, that's the question.
I think so. I think they do. I think it's a perfect opportunity. A guy that wasn't on your team, he wasn't a part of your long-term plan to win anyway before in the off season. You take a flyer on him for $5-6 million, and he's turned out to be now all of a sudden a trade chip. And I don't think the Rockies want to trade Gomber. I just don't think they do. But they'll trade one of their starters, and it's got to be Quantrill then.
Yeah, is there a market for Gomber? I mean, Cal's been better,
yes,
right? Like, and there's that, but like, I mean, if there's a market for Gomber, you kind of have to move him, right?
Yeah, I think. I mean, shoot, in May, he was like all of a sudden the best pitcher in baseball, and he's since come back down to earth. But I think. You're right. I don't think there's much of a market for him because the place he's most effective is Coors Field. It's bizarre. His splits are backwards. Blake Street Gomber. That's how he's been rolling. But the worst thing that could happen was Diaz getting hurt because I think those reports were true that the Rockies wanted to move him. But
yeah, I mean, you have an expiring contract with Diaz, Gomber, and Cal. Like, they're all on like their last year, and Jacob Stallings, who's the other guy. So I guess, who do you see moving at the catching position? Do you see a Jacob Stallings being moved? I mean, his value was pretty low till yesterday, where he just like, all right, it's time to move me. Maybe a Reese McGuire can be traded for can go and they can take Jacob Stallings. But like Diaz and Stallings, like there is some value in each of them, right? They're kind of the same person. Diaz has a little bit more pop, but they're both defensive wizards. Both can hold the run game, which is a playoff team that's going to want that with a second catcher. Do we see one or do we see both?
I definitely not both. And I think the one that will get moved is Diaz. But I mean, Jacob Stallings, he's been probably the best backup catcher in the whole sport this year. He has killed it. And I mean, yesterday, I think he threw out at least one base runner, stealing second. And I was like, this guy throws everyone out. Stallings, I'd have to check the numbers, but it feels like he's having a career year throwing out runners because people always talk about Diaz having a cannon. But to be honest, I feel like, I know there's more opportunities to run against him because he gets more innings, but Stallings feels like he knocks him down every single time.
Yeah, there is something about Stallings behind the plate that everybody's like just comfortable with. Standard fielding, caught stealing percentage. He's at 29%. Not sure where that stands. I feel like that's on the upper half of the caught stealing metric.
I think so too.
I mean, his career average is 22% caught stealing percentage. So really, 30% you're holding, especially with the new rules. I would say that's probably pretty elite. So there is that. I think I agree with you. I think Diaz is the one that gets moved too. I would that's the most logical thing. Ideal world, they both are moved, and Willie Mack and Drew Romo are both Rockies in September. But I don't know if the Rockies are that crazy, because then you're out of it. Like, I can almost see him keeping solids. Then, hey, do you want an extension for next year to mentor the Drew Romo type thing? So there's that. And then the last one on his list was Jalen Beeks, who's been at Rocky start. Kind of like what you said, though, you can kind of look at the numbers and see where you could use them. It feels very Pierce Johnson like to me, where the numbers aren't really there, but the stuff is, right? So, like, you have that lefty arm who's been there before, who can be a 6, 7, 8 guy. Again, thinking September playoffs for a playoff team, Jalen Beeks is kind of like that. And I think he's on a 1-year deal too. I'll look that up to confirm that. But does he get moved?
I think he does. I'm pretty confident that Beeks. Well, I guess if there's a suitor that wants him, I think the Rockies are open to trading him. And Gilbreth has been getting back up and throwing. I think.
Yep,
he's in Arizona.
He's ACL. Yeah, he had a scoreless inning 2 days ago.
And he's a lefty out of the pen, so a direct fill-in to replace. And I think the move makes sense because you get something in return with the trade.
Right. Yeah. Like, right now, you're just taking anything, right? Like, Jalen Beeks is on a 1-year contract, $1.6 million. So you trade him and you get a minor league relief arm that has some upside. Like, you take whatever you can. I would love to see it, and I wonder what the phone calls are there. Like, you're starting to see MLB. I always see MLB rumors that the website come out, and like, these are the like, people are having contacts and talks with. I'm not seeing the Colorado Rockies.
I think it's been weird overall because the league hasn't had a trade yet, and someone has to set the market. I hope that Skubal gets traded to the Orioles or something, and that package is just huge. Because then everyone, I mean, the Rockies are licking their chops, saying, "All right,
let's go."
Yeah,
dude, could you imagine Skubal? Like, you would have to throw in like a Jackson Holiday or a Mayo for Skubal, if not both. Like, you would have to go big for that Cy Young contender.
Well, shoot, if you're the Orioles, like,
why not? Right? Who did they call up today? They called up another middle infielder. Somebody. I don't know who it was, though.
Did he just look just like the rest of them too?
Yeah, they all look the same. Yeah. This is for Tyler. Yeah. Lefty reliever marker is getting set for Beeks because AJ Puck was just traded from Miami to Arizona. Tyler, if you are actually still listening, do you know what they gave up? What was sent from Arizona to Miami for AJ Puck? If not, we can always look it up too if you're listening. But yeah, that's a good point. It would just happen like as we were popping on. I saw that. I have it saved on one of my tabs there. So it's being set. Like, if we can get an AJ Puck return for Jalen Beeks, I think Puck might be a little bit more than Beeks, but that's setting it there. So look for a Tyler article soon to get that. De Los Santos and a player to be named later. I think, is it De Los Santos? He was like a top 20, top 25. Arizona's number 12 in the top 30, De Los Santos, because I think I remember watching him in the spring breakout game, and he was just like, okay, that guy's good. So there's the market. So lefty reliever gets a middle of the road prospect of his team.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's, again, I think just like Quantrill, if you're going to move him, it's just a bonus for the Rockies because he wasn't a part of the long-term success plan, and neither is Beeks. It was just another flyer who you'll just take a shot on. And I don't know where Aaron went, but now I'm running the show solo.
I don't know what happened.
There he is. We're back. That's kind of scary, Aaron. Don't do that to me again.
Oh, did it take you away too?
Can you not see me?
I can. But did you go away when I went away? Oh,
no, it was just me up here.
Okay. All right. Oh no, I think it took us off of Twitter. Oh well, I don't know what happened there. I got hand movements and stuff. Cal Quantrill market go. Why I tried to figure out what were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's just when the Rockies are doing things right with their offseason signings. That's where this is starting. They're taking players that are undervalued by the league, but shoot, there's potential, and the Rockies are seeing it and they're turning it into something that can have a return. And I think we're all still going on Twitter. That's what I'm seeing on my feed.
Okay. Yeah, it's still there. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see this play out. They have to make some trades. Again, this isn't the squad that there was 2-3 years ago. It's a whole different squad. So front office organization, that stuff. So that'd be great. So let's see what else he had. So there's a chance move. Tyler Kinley, Austin Gomber, Jake Cave. Of those three, you would probably put your money on Tyler Kinley just because he's a relief armor who has some closing ability, who has some late inning experience, but you got to imagine Kinley's the one that moves there.
I would bet Jake Cave is.
Yeah, fourth outfielder type thing.
Fourth outfielder that accepts his role and is very good at defense. I mean, he's been everything to the Rockies, and I want him to stay. But I just looking at it from a league's perspective, Jake Cave knows his role, and he does it really well. He's a guy that you probably won't have to give up too much if you're a contender. But shoot, if you're winning by 1 run and you can take a poor, a slugger out of right field and put Jake Cave in there for 3 outs, that's what you'll do if it's in the wild card series. But
yeah, I don't know if I agree with Mike here. Jake Cave isn't going anywhere. I think you are right. He does add value, and he has been pretty clutch late innings. Like, he is getting the timely hits. It might be a single, might be a walk, but he understands that part of the game, which isn't something that you're going to get out of a first or second year player. Like, they're going to be eager to bite at the bit, right? Jake Cave, veteran, understands what the assignment is and can get it done. There is some value in that. Again, it's not a high value, but there's something that could be there. I just think the relief, everybody needs relievers. Like, you can go across the league and everybody's going to say, we need to fill this in, fill that out. And so, like, I feel like a lot of teams have a fourth outfielder. Not a lot of teams have another relief arm that they can lean on. So that's why I'm kind of leaning Tyler Kinley on that. I don't know if they move Gomber, kind of like we were saying earlier. I think I agree. Like, it's just going to be hard for them to want to move because he does kind of have Coors figured out. And then the last of Tyler's tiers here are there have been bigger surprises. And I think I want to spend time on one of them. But Brendan Rodgers, Dakota Hudson, Ty Block, Sam Hilliard, and Sean Bouchard. Does Brendan Rodgers, he's obviously the big name on that. His contract is up at the end of 2025. He's arbitration 3 eligible or whatever how that works this year. Does he get moved? Is there any value in that? What do you think?
I think the Rockies will try everything they can to do that. I don't think he will be, though.
Yeah.
Unless it's Boston, to be honest, the team with the worst defense in the world.
Right.
And they just saw him throw out 4 hits, tied a career high for hits in a game. If he's traded, it'll be because of his defense.
Right. It's definitely, the defense is going to be the biggest part there. The bat doesn't have the pop that it was kind of sought out to be a few years ago. And then the injuries are always worrisome. So I don't know if the value is there completely. And who else just had an infielder go down?
I'm not sure.
Maybe it's the Yankees. I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
While it's in the forefront of my mind, I just think the Rockies front office is asking themselves who's a part of the long-term success plan. If you're shooting for the postseason in 2026, 2027, they'll always say you're competing every year, but there's a success plan, and who's a part of that and who's not. That whoever's not, that's who you'll try to move. And B-Rod's contract is up at the end of 2025. Amador has already gotten a taste. I think he's a part of the plan. Yeah,
he's definitely part of the plan. We might have another conversation about him on Monday. There might be might be pushing a button soon on Adel Amador, the red button, like worrisome button. But it definitely seems like the Rockies have Amador as the up and coming second baseman there. Or Ryan Ritter, just saying. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then we have the very end of it. Again, go check out BlakeStreetBanter.com for Tyler's article. Practically impossible to move. Charlie Blackmon, Nick Mears, and Ryan Feltner. Nick Mears is interesting because he is okay. Nick Mears has proven himself to be a viable back-end reliever. His ERA estimators range from good to great as he is a dynamic strikeout pitcher with premium curveball. Charlie Blackmon, I don't think he moves. And then Ryan Feltner, there is something to Ryan Feltner that I think another team can figure out. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what it is. I like sometimes his stuff is so electric and so great, and then it's just not consistent.
Yeah. Well, and I'd be very scared if the right team got their hands on Feltner because
Yeah.
of what they could turn him into.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a puzzle for him to figure out Coors Field, but I think his last start at Coors Field, he went 7 innings. So let's not, there's obviously there's going to be ebbs and flows. You
Right.
just have to find that consistency like you're talking about. I would be very upset if Nick Mears was traded because I think he's a piece the Rockies have to have. He's been dependable.
Yeah, I like Nick Mears a lot. Like when he's on, it's insane. Like just piping 100 if he wants. Like if you're Nick Mears and Victor Vodnik there, like that's consistent stuff. If Justin Lawrence can figure it out, go back to what he was a year or two ago. Like there's some good pieces there.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was against the Giants or if it was on Monday against the Red Sox, but he pitched 2 innings, had 4 strikeouts. Then we talked to him afterwards, and he's like, "Shoot, I figured out they weren't hitting the curveball, and I was just going to keep throwing it till they could hit it." I mean, he's a dog,
right? What works works, and don't do anything else. Like why not? So there are some pieces for the Rockies to get rid of, like with the year they're having, with the expectations they're having. And what Billy Schmidt has been saying, kids are going to play. There is that. And so we could see some trades, see some kids move. 40-man roster is always a crunch. Like there's some Rule 5 things they have to decide, like Drew Romo, Zach Veen, Jaden Hill. I don't know if Zach Veen. Yeah, Zach Veen would be on that list. So they have to be added to the 40-man this offseason. So you have to move some of these big dogs. Then who do you call up and let go? Blah, blah, blah. That's a whole nother thing. Tyler can talk about it better than I can. So we'll keep an eye on that, but definitely look for us for the trade stuff. Like the Rockies are going to move somebody, just don't know who or when. Let's see. Something happened with the X because Tyler had to go to YouTube. Of pitchers with 45 innings or more, Nick Mears ranks 4th in stuff plus in all of baseball. Like his stuff is absolutely insane.
Keep him in Colorado.
Yeah, please. Like it again, it works. Like we were all mad when they kind of let Ottavino go. Like when you have a pitcher that can figure out Coors, you kind of want to hold on to it and kind of give them that contract. So keep Nick Mears around, please. Anything else on the trade deadline?
I don't think so. I'm going to resort to Tyler's article for anything else, but
you're right. And look for updates. Like he's going to have those updates. Like I think it goes like draft and there's like trades and then prospects and then like actually Rockies baseball for Tyler. Like if I were to tear out his list, like he loves the dirty research of like seeing who's good and who's not and like who's worth something. So keep an eye on it. Tyler's probably got something going on, and the BSB team's always working on something. There's a dude in Albuquerque who just joined the squad from Texas. I can't remember his name.
Our squad or the actual AAA squad?
He's on the AAA squad. He's in the Colorado Rockies system. What is his name? Somebody remind. He just got signed. I don't know. He was like one of the top closing prospects. One like him. He was like 10th, right behind Jaden Hill. I can't find it. I'm not gonna be able to find it quick enough. Antone Kelly. Yep, there we go. Antone Kelly. He's a lefty arm, big fastball. There's gonna be a prospect profile on him coming out. He could be an arm that they look at in the Rockies bullpen coming up after the trade deadline. Keep an eye on that name, Antone Kelly. Thank you, Mike, for putting that in there. Like, imagine being a producer for a podcast but not showing up to produce the podcast and then have to talk in the YouTube chat. Between you and James, I don't know who I'm more frustrated with. I don't know. All right, and let's talk Rockies. Big names. Like there was some big weeks. Brenton Doyle is on fire. They literally are changing the calendar to change July to Brenton Doyle. That's just the new name of the month. But he didn't even have the most home runs. He didn't even like Ezekiel Tovar. Almost, I would say, outdid him this week in the 2 series. Like Ezekiel Tovar had 11 hits, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, no walks, but it's not part of his game. But Ezekiel Tovar is like, all right, whatever you're doing, I can do better. And it's great to see him like kind of fight through that flu or whatever. And was like, all right, I'm going to come ball out the next game, make gold glove plays and all that. But like as at the field, who kind of like stood out to you the most from the press box? Like, ooh, okay, I see you.
I'd say Tovar. I think recency bias also kicks in because the dude just went 0 for 30, and it's like, all right, I think he's on a 10-game hitting streak since that 0 for 30,
That'd be
but
insane.
he's been on a roll, and 11-game hitting streak, and he's hitting 422 over those 11 games since going 0 for 30. But
Baseball,
it
man.
was
It's so crazy.
awesome to watch Doyle hit his first career grand slam, and I mean, now in July, he's the first Rockies player with 10 home runs in a single month since Crone in 2021 when he had 11 in a month. And
Yeah,
Doyle's still got a week left. So hopefully he can hit one out in San Francisco. It's kind of difficult,
it is
but
difficult.
shoot, he is seriously up there for player of the month right now.
He has to be.
Him or Trey Turner, I assume, because Trey also has 10 home runs this month, and it's Philly, but
right, it's Philly. But people need to recognize Brenton Doyle. Hopefully Brenton Doyle. If he doesn't, like I think Purple Rope tweeted out, if Brenton Doyle doesn't win player of the month, we riot. So
yeah,
look out for those tweets there. It's been good. The other leaders, Brendan Rodgers had 9 hits on the week in his 6 games. Michael Tolia, 7 hits, 3 of them doubles. So he's finding that single stuff. He's OPSing 794 in these last 7 days. In the last month, Michael Tolia has an OPS of 850. So he's kind of figuring some things out, which is good and bad with KB being back and blah, blah, blah. We don't.
Hey, KB had 3 hits in the game yesterday. That was fun.
Yeah. And like, shut up, haters. Like, was there booze on Monday when he came back?
I mean, not until he struck out 3 times, but yeah,
okay, it wasn't on the first. I thought I heard some on the first at bat, but it was,
I think in the first at bat he struck out, so people booed, but
yeah,
not walking up to the plate. Colorado's better than that.
Okay, yeah, booing a man after coming back out, that's ridiculous. Does Brenton Doyle going to get MVP votes, 10-player ballot?
Shoot, if he continues on this meteoric.
Yeah, if he can do August, even like half of what he did in July, maybe. I mean, his gold glove. Nothing with another gold glove.
Your 2020 prediction was like, I was like, all right, he has 7 home runs 3 weeks ago, and now
I'm upping it. It's up to 30-30. I'm going 30-30, dog. Like, there's no way. And I love being right about that. Fuck
yeah. I mean, the worst qualified hitter in baseball last year, and now dude's a stud hitting in the 3-hole for the Rockies.
Insane. Just absolutely insane. Only the Rockies, right? But there's something about track records. Like, there is something that can be said in minor league stats and all that. Like Sean Bouchard, very similar. You got Brenton Doyle who can do it just as well. On the pitching side, who kind of stood out to you? I mean, other than Cal yesterday, he had a pretty good day. But like, who kind of stood out to you there?
I think, well, when we got to talk to Nick Mears, that was really cool. My first time talking to him after he had that huge game. Justin Lawrence was solid against Boston. That extra innings game, he pitched 2 innings with the ghost runner on in each, obviously. Only gave up 1 run. Big part of why the Rockies were able to win that game. So he's been slandered more than anyone on the Rockies, even Chris Bryant probably. And I think there needs to be some props given to J-Law when he does well too.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That was, I think our group chat was like, we just want Justin Lawrence to do well on this. Please lock it in. And he did. That was a pretty gutty performance. I got to give the nod to Noah Davis coming in relief. Like, it was kind of a blowout. It was the tie block start. Kind of was rough, but Noah Davis was relieving in Albuquerque. He had some stuff figured out, and he did his thing. Zero runs allowed in 3.1 innings of work, 3 hits, 1 walk. It got a little sketchy there at the beginning, but he settled in nicely, and his stuff, he was working with his stuff rather than what felt like sometimes against it. He sometimes gets in his own ways. And so seeing Noah Davis do that was awesome. So if you see him, say, hey, nice job from Aaron.
Yeah, that was, I did. I went up and I was like, hey, Aaron told me to say hi, friend of the pod. And he's like, oh, yeah, I appreciate you guys. Then he went and balled out. So
BSB, let's go. Just throw the good vibes.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. So there is some good stuff. Yeah, Felter, like you said, Feltner balled out. Kyle Freeland, is this the Kyle Freeland? Maybe this is the final question. Is this the Kyle Freeland that we love and adore, and is he who we see the rest of the way?
2018 Kyle Freeland is back.
Right? Like, Kyle Freeland. That was your prediction. It didn't go well at the beginning. Was that yours? It was yours, right?
I don't know if it was mine, but
somebody had a Freeland 20 Cy Young thing.
We'll revisit those in an article at the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, at the start of the year, we all knew he was not as bad as what he was showing. And shoot, this since coming back, sure, I'll say he's as good as he's been because I like being optimistic. But he's been unstoppable. I think when he throws tomorrow or the day after, the Blake Street Banter has like a scheduled tweet at this point of recapping since he's come back. And then there's always bangs because the people love Kyle Freeland. So
yeah, it's hard to hate on Kyle Freeland. It'd be good. Ooh, Duke and Darnell's in for the Isotopes, another bullpen arm to keep an eye on. He's been lights out too. Steven, what was your prediction? I remember it being Doyle. You made that hot take when you were on for our banter session at the beginning of the season. Remind us of your hot take there about Stovar. Steven. Doyle's prediction from Steven. Doyle and Tovar are definitely some of the pieces there in the future. Okay, I thought it was the highlight. I guess who else? Like it's maybe Michael Tolia. Nolan Jones obviously has got to be. Hopefully the sophomore slump is just the injury plague season that we can kind of put on there. Like anybody else? Rymack. I think Rymack's the veteran there.
Yeah, he finally hit a home run first time since June 22nd yesterday. So, yeah. And he had been getting on base. Like I think he has a 13-game on base streak, but he had been struggling in the offensive categories.
Yeah.
So that was refreshing yesterday.
Yeah. So it's good to see some of these guys do their thing. I think that's going to lock it up. That is our Thursday evening without James, which is just kind of routine now. We go to San Francisco for the next 3 days, and then where do they go after that?
Anaheim, and they also play the Padres.
So a whole bunch of late night games for us Eastern folks. Cool.
Yeah. It's the worst road trip of the year for Eastern time folks, and that's me 90% of my life, 99% of my life.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, it sucks for the rest of us, but you'll be Mountain Time. You'll be watching. All right. Keep an eye on all that and go Rocks. And yeah. Woo! I forgot the video. Mike, this is your fault.
Thank you for watching and listening. Please check out our link tree for more content.